Man, so another casualty in the war against NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. So yet another person has been let go from their job because they decided to speak about something regarding their company that they probably shouldn't have. Now, I did a video on something similar to this before, actually a few years ago, before the Wii U was shown at E3, before the controller was shown anyway. And there was a guy that was I think he was a tester. They either worked for Nintendo or worked for a company that was working for Nintendo, working with Nintendo for testing out the Wii U. And he leaked pictures of the gamepad having 4 shoulder buttons. About 2 or 3 days before E3. And apparently this guy thought that was really important because he risked his job to do so and lost his job. Before E3 even happened, that dude was gone. Lost his job over something that was going to be shown in 3 freaking days. And I made a video. I said, you guys need to stop risking your jobs for this stupid stuff. Like that's insignificant. And job's gone. Now, similar thing has happened now again. And this time it is a member of the Nintendo Treehouse. Now, if you guys have been reading like some Nintendo articles within the last week or so, this guy worked for Nintendo Treehouse, and he was on a podcast, the Part-Time Gamers podcast, and he was discussing Nintendo's thoughts on localization. Now, here's a problem. Problem number 1. He told them his full name. Like, he let them tell his full name. Why would you do that? All they had to do was say, hey, we got a member here that works for Nintendo. Boom, that's it. And you should have disguised your voice. Because actually, they got the dude's name out on the podcast. He didn't change his voice. Okay. Turns out he was actually even one of the Treehouse presenters during live at E3, the Nintendo Treehouse, so everyone knows what he looks like. That was not smart at all. And the people running the podcast, they should have been a little bit, he should have been more responsible, but they also should have looked out for him also. Like, why? These people that work for the Treehouse, half of their job is to not talk about what they see or do at work. 50% of an employee at Nintendo Treehouse's job is to shut the hell up. That is half of their job. They're not supposed to talk about what they see and do at work. Like, if you guys look at the first Nintendo E3 Treehouse live, they were happy as hell. Like, they even said, well, we never get to talk to anybody else about this stuff, because they are pretty much secluded from everyone. The outside world. When they get off work, they go home. They're not supposed to talk to their family about this stuff. They're not supposed to talk to their friends about this stuff. That is a huge part of their job. Now, this guy went on this podcast talking about how Nintendo treats localization of games. Didn't change his voice, put his full name out there. That was stupid. That was very stupid. Now, do I think he deserves to get fired for what he said? No, I think that's a bit harsh. But when you work for someone that, like Nintendo, that's known for getting rid of people over stuff like this, that's known for having some of the strictest NDAs in the industry, you should have known. They made their the guy that was ahead of all of their indie development get off of Twitter because of something he said. They were going to make someone post as him instead of deleting his Twitter. But they were going to get rid of him as far as that. And he ended up parting ways. Now, if they did that to him, what did you think they was going to do to you? Treehouse members are not supposed to be discussing business philosophies and business strategies. And he knows this. But I feel for him because the dude, he has a wife, he has a young kid. Apparently, he still owes like almost $100,000 in student loans. I feel for him. It sucks. Like, this just screwed up his world. But what you guys got to take from this, if there's anyone listening to this that's in the industry or trying to get in the industry, once you get there, don't risk it over something like this. If you know it's against the rules to do something, don't mess with it. It's not worth it. Like, at the end of the day, telling someone the reason why a certain game isn't getting localized is not worth your job. It's not worth your family's well-being. It's not worth screwing your life up. Now, the thing is, I don't think that he was let go necessarily because of what he said, but maybe how he said it. Because how he said it could be interpreted as, our fans don't know what they're talking about. Now, let me read to you a little excerpt of what he said. Now, this is talking about localization of games and why games aren't localized that fans may want to be localized and stuff like that. So he said, the hardest thing for everyone to understand and to accept, and I've seen this firsthand in the company, that this is typified. People think that obviously they're right and what they like or dislike has to be the norm. Why would it be otherwise? And they just say the classic, why do you hate money? Why do you hate money, Nintendo? And it's like, what are you talking about? We're trying to make, obviously, it has to make calculated risks, but at the same time, one of those risks, I mean, they'll bring up games that are very Japanese games, like Captain Rainbow, for instance. They'll bring that up like, how many people want this? Don't you want money? And we'll be like, yeah, we do want money, which is why we know it'd be a colossal waste if we ever tried to localize that in this current market, because look at you people. You don't make up a big enough group. Now, what he says there is actually true. People may have wanted Captain Rainbow to be localized, come here to the United States. But let's be honest, the game would have bombed. Would have bombed. Now, the problem here isn't necessarily, well, it is also what he said, because he's not supposed to really be talking about this, but also how he said it and how that could be misconstrued as something negative. Now, when people read things, you've seen time and time and again on the internet, people's reading comprehension varies drastically. So when you say something like that about Captain Rainbow, somebody might read that as, look, dumb niggas, the reason why Captain Rainbow ain't coming over is because y'all wasn't going to buy it anyway. Have that seat. Like, that's how some people interpret stuff like this. So it's best if, unless you are an expert in PR, which you aren't, is to not talk about it. Let the people that's their job to do talk about this stuff. Let Scott Moffitt talk about this stuff. Let Reggie talk about this stuff. Because if they make a mistake, they're not going to get fired. You are. You got fired because you signed an NDA that you wouldn't talk about this kind of stuff, and you are not Reggie. You're one of Reggie's kids. You're not Reggie. People need to stop risking your lives, risking your well-being for stuff that really doesn't matter.